You're ready to be premature all over again.
Wow, that's impressive.
Quick
bro.
reset.
Yeah.
Quick reset.
Last night was Ramos Jizz.
Freudian slip.
Who knew the job was pro bono?
I was so high that I shit myself at some point.
Okay, it's doing for somebody. Everybody mute. Goddamn, you're killing me.
My SEAL Team 6 went to SEAL Team 12.
There's nothing wrong with punching above your weight.
I thought you'd get better.
Well,
I don't know what's
also-
worse. You're a ginger or you've been vaccinated.
You sit around and drink and solve the world's problems, right?
Locked, cocked, and ready to rock. Let's roll out. Regulators!
You're peaking, so don't do that. 'Cause that
Buddy,
I
I peaked.
I'm
I
pretty sure
peaked
that's
years
gonna
ago,
happen.
homie. I peaked
All right,
years
so everybody
ago.
lean back instead of leaning forward. That's you. This is you, and there's nothing I can do once you've peaked. I can't do anything with that.
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way about my life. Once I peaked, there was nothing I could
All right,
do.
well, we're recording. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is a new week. It is a banner week in the Bender household, I might add. You do not need to adjust your knobs. We are actually all sitting in the same room for the first time in 3 years.
What?
And again, you're peaking. For the first time in 3 years, the Four Horsemen are actually sitting in the same room recording this episode. So this will be interesting. We've never met each other face to face. So this is the first time. We're going to decide if we like each other. Maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. But as you may know, Haas has come from Austria. It's 5,000-mile trip. He's here in the States. So the four of us got together. We are sitting in the same room recording this. But gentlemen, how's everybody doing?
Oh, feels good to be alive.
Feels good to be above ground.
It's good to see you, sexy bitches, live and in person.
I don't know. I'm freaked out by this. This is weird.
It is a little different. We have not done this before. I mean, everything's always been online, and this is the first time we're recording in person, the four of us. And we'll see how it goes.
Hey,
Mic issues notwithstanding, please.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been doing this all weekend where we're having these conversations just
Right.
like we would have
This
if
time
we
we
were
just hit
doing
the
the
record
podcast.
button.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
which is why it won't make sense when I lock up today.
Yeah. fair play. Fair play. Yeah.
I'm super excited. Everybody's here in this different format. Everybody being together. This is kind of going to be our year in review. It is the end of the year. New Year's right around the corner, but by the time this gets released, it will obviously be 2023. But we thought we're all together. Let's talk about kind of a year in review where we're at. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the New Year's challenge that Grinch brought to the table 364 days ago.
Damn you, Grinch.
And we're going to talk about how that went, how successful that was, and admittedly, my own fault, I have not tracked. And I'm not sure it's been necessary to track where everybody's at. But yeah, the last few months, there's just been a lot going on, and so I haven't tracked as effectively as I should. But I think everybody knows kind of where they're at. So we're going to talk about that, and then I also want to talk about, are we going to do another one? Is Grinch going to bring a new New Year's challenge
Once
to
more
the
with feeling.
table?
Yeah.
That's right.
How much weight can we put on this year?
Back into their fray once more.
Yes.
Okay.
The other thing we did today, which we've done in the past, is we made a singular drink, and we're all drinking from the same cup. Which, so we're going to pass it around, but it's basically the same drink.
It's a giant goblet.
4 guys, 1 cup.
That's
Four
right.
guys. Grinch was kind enough to make the drink.
Yeah.
Grinch, would you like to tell us what you made?
Yeah, it's margarita.
It's margarita.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We know who's happy about that, don't we?
Yeah.
I saw a look on your face who wasn't happy about
Yeah,
that.
it is what it is.
Take one for the
I
team.
roll with
That's
it.
right. Bourbon and sweet and sour. You could have gone that. That's like what is that?
I don't
Isn't that
know.
like
A bourbon sour?
That's a bourbon smash. isn't
A
it?
drink you would
Stone
throw
sour?
away and then just drink straight bourbon.
That's not Stone Sour? It's bourbon
No,
and
no,
sweet
no,
and
no. It's
What was the
orange.
Stone Sour?
The bourbon Stone Sour is bourbon, orange juice, simple syrup, and a little bit of lemon juice.
sour. Okay. I was close.
And I
all
personally
ingredients we have in there.
add like a dash of peach bitters
Gotcha.
and a dash of grenadine in mine.
All right. Well, there it is. It's a margarita. It's plain. It's simple. It's how we're going to wrap up the
With
year.
Don Julio.
With Don Julio
Reposado.
Reposado.
Reposado tequila.
That Mac keistered on his way back as he muled from
Yes.
I knew
That's
the
taste you
fragrance
get.
was a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to.
But yet familiar for you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And pre-made margarita.
Fair play.
Boom.
That's right.
Mac is happy on all
This is-
facets.
Actually, the margarita mix isn't bad.
No, that's actually a very. I've never tried
it's a
that one
crafty.
before.
It's a crafty
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
Never heard
Sometimes
of
they're too sweet.
Yeah.
You just get
I
tired
think
of the
that-
sweetness, but that's not
this
bad.
one-
That came from the fresh market, maybe. Is that where?
Maybe. I fucking about All right.
This is
That's it. There's our drink. It's a margarita. Nothing to describe, nothing to discuss. Haas is not a big fan. Max, super happy. Grinch, you and I are just, we're whelmed.
You're whelmed. I knew it. Overwhelmed, underwhelmed, whelmed.
We've covered all bases.
with the three bears.
Obviously, cheers, gentlemen, and this
Yeah.
is different.
Oh, cheers.
Over that microphone.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Those plastic cups don't exactly clink, but
I feel like that would have been a perfect picture for the Instagram page.
probably would have. We should.
We can get the wife to come and take pictures. More
All right,
moralized.
so let's do it. Let's keep this train rolling. 364 days ago.
Choo.
We recorded an episode. Grinch brought some shit to the table, talking about New Year's resolutions, which none of us agree
That's
with.
what I brought to the
And
table.
it was a New Year's
Yeah.
challenge. And here we are.
It has been rotten.
It has been
It
brought.
has been brought.
It is our year in review, so we can talk about whatever. We can talk about things that we've talked about on this show. We're going to talk about the New Year's challenge.
I think
That's a big one.
another great year, right? Another year of us doing this week in and week out for the most part.
Yeah.
Another great year of great conversations, great topics, great guests.
Another year of COVID on some level.
Yeah.
Oh, but I like the fact that we can say "fuck you, COVID" because we're actually all sitting in the same
We are in
room.
the same room.
Without wearing
What a-
masks and
What a way to
you know,
end the year.
Yeah.
The freaking year went by fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially with that New Year's challenge.
Yes.
It's like month.
Those months went slow.
The New Year's challenge went by really fast. That was over really quick.
So let's go ahead and talk about that first. I think
The
the
elephant in the room.
is the fucking New Year's
Oh, we got to
challenge.
use that phrase. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fair enough.
So
Big fat state puff marshmallow in the room.
why you gotta describe me like that?
I mean, bro, I'm looking inward here, man. I sent that
projecting.
meme and I meant it. I wanted to finish like this, and I finished like pizza.
So,
More
A
pizza.
little over a year ago, Grinch thought, I don't really know.
What did you think?
What I was thinking.
You thought, I want to be in shape, and I'm going to drag everybody kicking and screaming with me on this journey. And you said, hey, would everybody be amenable to doing it? And we all talked about it. We agreed we would do it. We started this challenge back in January 1. Here we are on December 31st, right? Today is,
Yes,
today's
today's
the
the
31st of December. And so, how did it go for everybody?
I think
I'm going to start with, you.
Yeah, I think I'm literally within 4 pounds of where I started, and I went up and I went down 4. And then I go up 4 and then down 4.
Well, then there's symmetry.
Yeah.
Maybe God has just ordained, if you believe in it, that this is the way you need to be.
Apparently, I'm at homeostasis.
He intakes 4 pounds of alcohol. He
He
removes
exits.
4 pounds of alcohol.
I mean, let's be honest. That's probably not too far from the truth, right? Like, I
That's
mean,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
So not successful for you.
No, also had 2 surgeries.
Yeah. On your hands, which
On
had nothing to
hands,
do with
yeah.
your legs and
Yeah.
the rest of your body. I do want to ask though. We were on an episode one time, and you got off the episode saying, "I'm going for a run." The
I
first
did,
of many.
and I did. Yeah.
How many runs did you actually make?
Like 3.
Okay.
Yeah, we were wondering about that because we're like, we know you did the one,
Yeah.
but then never heard you mention anymore
Yeah.
after that.
No, I just didn't. No.
You realize there's running's for one thing, and that's when you're being
Yeah.
chased.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't find that I enjoyed it as
Like
much
you
as
used
I
to?
hoped to.
Well, you ran 3 more times than I did, if that helps.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So not successful. The challenge was not successful for Grinch.
It wasn't.
No. Okay.
No.
Which is weird because you brought it to the table
I know.
under the guise of
Yeah,
let's be
I
healthier.
know. I mean, I think there's, I wasn't as disciplined as I probably hoped to be, but there was also, I didn't expect to have high blood pressure,
Right.
like some things that came along.
Going
that
through
I was just
issues.
like,
Yeah, you had some exigent circumstances
yeah,
throughout
I
the
mean,
year.
they're
sure.
excuses, but they're additive. I came off a medication I've been on for quite some time, which I think is helping the blood pressure go back down, but developed stomach issues during that time as well. So.
Well, I can tell you, as somebody who is on blood pressure medication for genetically high blood pressure, I retain water if I don't take my blood pressure medication. I know there have been times where I will run out of medicine and I'll gain 6-10 pounds just in water weight. And then once I get the medicine back, I shed that very rapidly. But it sucks having high blood pressure, especially like the hypertension and the water retention, just sucks.
Well, and you can just tell, like, your heart rate goes up so fast
Oh.
that, you're like, I didn't do a whole lot, but I'm just like,
Exhausted, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, I can tell you, the first 3 months of the year, super successful. I was like, I'm glad he did this challenge. I'm fucking excited. From January to March, I shed 26 pounds.
Yeah.
And then from March to December, I gained it almost all. I didn't gain it all back, but I put on about 12 pounds, and I was like...
But you're still down for the year,
down
right?
Over
then
the start of the year, but
then that would be a success, right?
For me, that was just... It was painful to just... Even though I was still walking, and I was trying to eat well, I'm watching it, you gain a pound, you gain a half pound, you gain 2 pounds, and it's like, why am I going this direction? Because from January to March, I was doing the same thing, going the other way.
Yeah.
And it almost became defeating, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Well, it gets frustrating because, you know, I don't think any of us were looking for wholesale life change, you know, in terms of like everything from amount of sleep and exercise.
Right.
But that's really, I think that's where the point that at least the two of you may have gotten to, because you did have success, and then all of a sudden, well, I mean, for you as well, Mac, I think.
Right out of the gate.
You know, there was some good progress, and then it starts getting frustrating.
Let's not talk about me. We'll just move on.
No.
Yes.
Eventually.
There are 4 horsemen here,
Right.
and it
Three of us
is.
didn't involve ourselves in the challenge.
Apparently, there's 3 horsemen and an elephant. So
Oh,
Again,
buddy.
why are you describing me this way? Fat marshmallow and elephant. I don't care.
No, I was totally prepared to be all in, and I
For you, it is a
and
lifestyle thing.
it is. It has been. I mean, I have. Admittedly, coming back has been challenging because I've not stayed on it. I think I worked out 3 or 4 times, and it's been about 2.5 weeks since I've worked out, and I've put on like 10, 12
And
pounds.
you've been stateside nearly 2 months. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you've been here just a few weeks. It has been an extended stay.
Yeah, it's been extended. It's been busy, and
Thanksgiving.
it's proven to me
Yeah,
that
holidays.
if you really, the holiday season can really derail you if you're not super disciplined, super careful, pre-planning, making sure that your head's right, making sure that your emotional IQ is in check. Like, it's just, I mean, I'll be back at this for sure once you know.
You get back. You
once I get
rotate back to your world.
Yes,
You
correct.
rotate home.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably even start working on it again next week again, just to try and get. Because I mean, the truth of the matter is if I keep putting this weight back on, I won't be wearing pants on the plane, and I don't.
I want to be on that tonight.
I don't think they'll let me on without pants. Yeah. Well, even the stretchy pants have gotten a little snug, man. I'm like, what
and
the fuck?
suffice to say, I think the interesting part, and we talked about this throughout the year, and Mac, don't worry, we'll get to you, is everybody's journey was different. Like you said, you vacillated 4 pounds this way, a couple pounds that way, but you stayed almost right at your starting weight. You came out of the gate slow. But for you, you knew it was a long distance run for you.
I've always felt that way. You didn't get fat overnight. You're not going to get fit overnight. You've got to have that long distance mentality.
And maybe that was the detriment to myself. As Mac, you and I came out of the gate running in terms of we were just melting fat and going, oh, well, is that sustainable? I've lost 20 pounds. By the end of the year, I'm going to weigh $150. No, because we've talked about it. You plateau at some point.
Well, your body adjusts.
You got to shock your body.
Yep, you have to.
So you gained, lost almost nothing.
Correct.
You slowly, but have lost over the course of the year, lost quite a bit of weight.
I have. I had.
Right.
I had hit them. I had hit my
Your goal.
the 25
And then
pound
reset
mark.
your goal.
And then I
Another
added
like
another
10.
10 pounds, and I was within 6 pounds of that
And then
before I came stateside.
Came stateside.
And now I'm pretty sure I'm back over my original.
270.
Yeah.
What'd you get on the scale? Like that's getting out right.
I'm pretty sure I'm back over the 250
Right.
mark, which is of course not ideal, but
Right.
that's okay. It is what it is.
And then obviously, Mac, your journey. You were the leader in terms of weight loss out of the gate.
That's
and
it.
I know your
End of
joke was,
conversation.
Like came out.
not a joke, but your position at the time was I've got the most to lose, and so it
Well,
made
but
sense.
I think yeah. Typically, if you have more to lose, initially it's going to start dropping quicker.
But then we know after March
That was the end of it.
that was the family. Yeah, you're dealing
You
with
had
it.
you had some life stressors.
I'm not playing that game because I can sit here and I can make excuses all day long and it doesn't matter.
But
at the end of the day,
Well, you only got to make them for the next hour.
But it is
Podcast
also
for-
reality.
I got a long list of excuses.
I mean, look, I get your point, and I think what you're trying to do is fair. But I mean, you do have to be fair on the other side of that, which is real life happens, and that does have an effect on
It does.
how you're able to maintain and manage.
But not when you put back on everything you lost plus 3 pounds to end the year. That's not, you can't make excuses. You have to come to come to the realization that you just fucked up.
The fault was yours and yours
Yeah,
alone.
yours and yours alone. Because clearly you can do it. It was as evidenced by the first 3 months. So
But the conversation is what was the issue? You go medications and blood pressure and physical issues that you've dealt with throughout the year, and you at stateside, and you're not as disciplined.
Yeah, for me, it's getting out of my routine. If I'm in my routine, if I'm in that groove, I'm unfuckable. Like, I mean, I can just go at it, and it's not a big deal.
But when you look at us, because we did come out of the gate that way, what are our issues? And why did we never get back? Was it you never shocked the body in an appropriate way to get it kickstarted again? For me, you not abandoning wholesale, but doing other things.
So you mentioned we came out of the gate swinging, right? There was a reason for that, right? We were walking 3 times a day,
right?
6 to 7 days a week,
right? You're looking at like 8 to 10 miles.
Yeah, is that sustainable long term? And we asked that question, and I think we have our answer. It clearly was not, because we didn't continue to do it.
But how is walking that way any different than him working out 4 or 5 times a week?
The point you're getting to is we suck and he's better, and I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just telling you that's the reason why, because we came out swinging, and I think that caused us to say, okay, well, fuck, I'm not walking 3 times today.
No, but
then it's easy to kind of start dialing it back to where you're not doing shit.
Right, you're doing 2 times a day, but even then you're going, well, I'm still walking 4 to 5 miles, 6 miles. That's got to be enough.
Well,
it is at first.
And as a technique, I mean, walking, like with running, it's distance and pace.
Right.
Walking tends to be at the same pace.
Right.
And you tend to settle on routes just because it takes so damn long. Mm-hmm. But like with going to the gym, it's kind of like with running, you're going to add weight or you're going to increase your reps. You're going to do things.
That keeps the body
guessing.
Yeah, because
it keeps you guessing.
Right.
But it keeps your
right.
and it keeps your mind guessing because you're doing something different. And I think you brought up a great point. When you're walking, you're typically doing the same route. You 3 times a day, 6 days a week.
You get bored. You get bored, and
Yeah.
you get disengaged or lazy about
right.
it. And
the body is going to naturally try to find a way to be more efficient about what it's doing.
Yeah.
As it
gets
tolerance
used to it. So you actually start getting diminishing returns, because
the longer you go.
like you can go to the gym and it's happened. I know everybody that's worked out has dealt with this. Like you can go to the gym and stay in the same routine and you literally stop getting better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's so maddening if you just hit that wall because you've got to do something to shock the body or just change the reps.
That's why I like lifting weights. That's why I like the programs that I'm on, because it is new and fresh, and I get to choose the routine.
Right.
When I'm done with whatever routine I'm on, when that ends, I change it up. I do the research and look for what I want. But it's also because you get stronger, which I like, and then there's the aesthetic part of it that you also end up liking.
You like looking at yourself.
You do. Yeah, I mean, maybe not love, but you a little less self-hate.
Right.
As time, progresses. So that's why I think that works. I mean, the downside is if you have bad form or you lift improperly, you get hurt and or injured, and then you have to work around that. But I think that's just part of it.
Which you have also dealt with this year.
I have, yeah.
So, I guess then if we look at the last 364 5 days, not successful, would we say? I mean, I would say it was not successful from my perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not where you wanted to be when you started.
I think that part of what I got hung up on was I just didn't expect to consistently work as much as I did as well.
Right.
So I just didn't want to dedicate my own time to that, and I thought I would feel that way, where I'd like start getting excited about it.
Did you want to dedicate somebody else's time to it?
Well, it's just,
How's that work?
You sweat all day,
Right.
Or you're on your feet all day, you kind of just
Want to come home and not have to do
Well, and I think that's important to know, right? Your job, I think, is more physically demanding
vastly different
than
than ours,
anything that the 3 of us do.
We all
because we're
sit all day.
desk
I'm
jockeys.
looking to get up
Yeah,
and move.
same.
Yeah,
Like as soon as I get a
exactly.
chance to
Oh my God,
move
you
and
get
move
the
some
fuck
weight
up.
around, I'm excited.
Yeah, you've been moving all day, and I get it, right? Then you come home, and you're like, fuck this. I just want to sit down and relax for a few minutes.
I thought my stamina would be better.
I don't know where you work in terms of locale. Could you bike to work? Are you that, or no?
It's a little far.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know if maybe that's a way you could break something. I'm going to go, well, then I don't have to work out when I get home. I'll bike to and from work, and then I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I could conceivably not go on a major road, like it's an interstate.
But a different
But then
route.
you may be like, I don't like biking, so I wouldn't do it
I
anyway.
actually don't like biking.
Okay.
There you have it, folks.
Yeah.
No biking.
You know, it is funny. I mean, probably the two, however many times in my life that I was the strongest is when I was deployed. Because all you wanted to do is to go to the gym just to break up the day.
Yeah.
Right.
And you'd be there for like an hour plus, just, this is my time, I'm away from work. Like it was an escape as opposed to feeling like it's additive work
Right.
to get something done.
And I know you were doing it after you retired. You were going regularly.
You were doing the HIIT
just
stuff,
to give
right?
yourself something
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
do.
we were doing CrossFit, yeah.
And then
And I mean, and it's interesting because, in hindsight, when I was doing CrossFit is when I started noticing I was getting short of breath and I couldn't figure out why.
Okay.
I felt like I was working a lot harder than I needed to. But that's also when the first thing with my hand happened because I was doing a tire flip and like 3 fingers slid off and I just had the one and it just shot up my arm and I was like, holy shit, what was that?
Right.
Which is what led to the MRI on the neck, which they identified a problem, but they actually, when they did the EMG test on both arms, they found
realized
there was a significant problem, which is, for anybody who's never dealt with carpal tunnel, what they do is they can test to see how the nerves are transmitting, and then they can do a procedure called carpal tunnel release, which they kind of work on the tendon that, I guess is right here on the
Right.
hand, and that opens up space for the nerve. But during that time, I think I've told you all some of this. I mean, I woke up at nights and I would just be on fire, like just pain down both extremities, and I'd be like standing.
You're like, am I dying?
Yeah, I was like standing in the bathroom trying not to wake the missus, and you could just feel it go away. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I try to lay back down, and you
Is this
just
a heart
feel it.
attack?
I mean, I literally slept on the bathroom floor just because it was flat and I could kind of manipulate pillows. But that's why I was so certain it was the neck. So, initially when they were like, oh, it's the hands, I was like, okay, this sucks.
Can't jerk off. Fuck that.
So has the surgery helped?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked because
It hasn't
Mrs.
helped your
Mac.
weight loss.
Well,
No. But, during that time, like it's actually fine now, but what really hurt was putting pressure on the hand.
Right.
Like the hand felt fine.
right.
Like if I go to get up, I would kind of like use a fist instead of flat palming. And thankfully that goes away as well. So yeah, if anybody's, I'm not a doctor, but it's worth getting looked at if you do have pain.
Yeah. Okay.
Thankfully, I don't. All right, Grinch, not successful. Haas, successful this year, 364 days in.
Moderately.
Moderately. Not
Yeah.
where you want it to be.
No, of course, I didn't meet the end results of what I thought I could accomplish. I learned a lot along the way. I learned limitations.
Right.
I learned patience. I learned resolve. I'd like to think that I learned commitment and recommitment and what that takes. I think, yes, for me it was successful in that I learned and grew. Now I just need to, go back to the basics and start over again, which is what I'm going to have to do.
That's all you can do.
Yep. So yeah, I not the end result that I'd hoped for, but yes, there were some successes along the way for me.
Not to disrupt the flow of the question, but what led to you taking high blood pressure medication? Like what were you averaging?
I started tracking my blood pressure, and my mother has high blood pressure. I mean, it is genetic for me, and I was not feeling good, and so my parents had a blood pressure cuff, and so I would go visit them, and they'd be like, "Oh, we'll take your blood pressure," and then I would take my blood pressure, and anybody who knows, like, naturalized blood pressure should run about 120 over 80, and mine was running like 140 over like 90, 140 over 100, 140 over 90. Like I was in that ballpark. Quick medical lesson for those who don't know. The large number, the first number you read is always the blood pressure on your arteries when the heart contracts. So it's what's driving the blood. And then the low number, the bottom number, is when the heart's at rest. So it's the natural pressure on your arteries. So obviously you want the upper number being high isn't great, but you want the bottom number to always be low because that's just the natural pressure on the artery. And so I was nearly 100, and my doctor's like, that's a problem. And so, I got my own blood pressure cuff, and I started tracking it daily, once in the morning, once at night. And I was like, fuck, this is like historically that's the trend. And I'd go and my blood pressure would be like, 153 over 104 or something. Like it would be high, and they're like, you're going on blood pressure medication.
Well, and the reason I ask is this is what is amazing to the missus and I. Like 4 weeks ago, when I went in, I was at 160. And she just looked at me and she's like, do you feel okay?
You're in the doctor's office?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know that would happen to me, and the doctor's like, well, you're generally stressed when you come to a doctor's
and that's
office.
what she said, and I was like, I'm not. Like, I know I just came from work, and I was moving stuff.
Yeah.
And she, she's like, well, all right, well, we'll check it when you leave. And it was like 152.
Like, had you played Call of Duty within 30 minutes of
Right.
getting to the
You
doctor's
stroked out.
office?
But it's funny because I keep asking, I'm like, it's high, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
right? Like, what do we do about this? But it's never been addressed.
You've never taken like a blood pressure medication?
Nope.
Now, the blood pressure, the lisinopril that I take the absolute lowest dosage you can take. And they're like, if that works, let's keep you there, let's not ramp you up. And it has. It is normalized around 120 over 80. But it's like I talked to my wife. My wife runs about 90 over 60. Which is...
It's like,
I'm like, are you
it's like
alive?
having Zen music constantly
Right.
pumped in.
Yeah.
So like if she's like 110 over 70, that's high for her. But I would be great if that were mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's stuff like that. So I track, and that's one of the reasons I got the Apple Watch, is to be able to track my heart rate and things like that. It doesn't do blood pressure in and of itself. You can get external things, which I did. Bluetooth cuff that ties right to it, and I would just, run it up that way and just test it. But, yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you do find you're exerted.
Yeah.
You exert just minorly, and you're like...
It reminds me a lot of what we were talking to Doc about. You've been doing it so long.
It's normal to you.
Yeah, it's normal, but
Right.
you feel tired all the time.
Right.
And I think that also, just being stuck in that has been like really frustrating because it's draining. It's mentally draining. It's physically draining. And I continue to say this. I always have the expectation I'm going to go into the doctor's office, list out what's happening, and I get an answer. Not a let's try or let's see. And I get it. It's just so frustrating because you, just like we talked about with Doc, you burn weeks in the meantime and you just get through it. And then you're like, oh shit, I really need to follow up on this or whatever.
Right.
Because even like with the stomach stuff right now, I'm on the second medicine and I'm just like, so now what?
Exactly. And I've always been the type of person where I'm like, I don't want to be tied to medication. Like, I look at my wife, and she'll be taking 12, 13 pills. Now, some of those are just vitamins that the doctor recommends, vitamin D, vitamin B12, or whatever, but I'm like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be fucking throwing a handful of pills down my throat every day. And I get maybe that's the reality of aging out, but I'm like, no. And thankfully, this is the only medication I'm on. The doctor's like, if you get your dropped weight, which is another reason when you said, hey, let's do a challenge, I'm like, I'm in because I need to drop it. And I don't know if you do. I have a fatty liver.
Yeah, I used to. I'm trying to get it down.
And that was one of the things when I found out I had a fatty liver, they were like, you need to drop weight because fatty liver will technically lead to cirrhosis of the liver without drinking. It's the same thing, and it will destroy your liver. And I'm like, that sucks. That's genetic. My grandfather had it. My dad had it. So when you brought this to the table, I was all for it because I'm like, I know I need to lose weight.
And for the record, I'm okay with taking a handful of pills as long as it's vitamins and essential oils and that kind of stuff, like taking the omega-3.
Not stuff to keep you alive.
Multivitamin, vitamin D. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Right.
I'd rather that than the alternative.
So, not successful, mildly successful. Mag, successful?
No, God,
No,
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 not even
okay,
close.
not even close.
I think we've established that already. So.
And I would say for me, in my own mind, and I know you said, well, you didn't go back to where you were, but still unsuccessful. So, with that being said, do we do this again?
Absolutely.
Okay, there we go. We're doing it again. Grinch, you're coming along, kicking and screaming.
Yes.
So, same standard. Is that what we're going to say? Like, do we want to go with the weight loss we had in place? Does everybody
No.
want to reevaluate and pick a new weight that they like to shoot for? Or are you good with what you had?
Yeah, I mean, I still want to get rid of like visceral fat.
Okay.
Same.
It's around the
Same.
abdominal area.
Same. Yeah, I'm shooting for probably more than I was last year.
Okay.
But
So ultimately you were at 35. I know you started and then added. You're going to shoot for that 35, or you're going to start at 25?
Well, I'm probably going more for an exact number of. I want to get down to like 230, 235.
So for you, it's not about the weight as much as it is hitting your target.
I want to hit my target.
goal.
Yeah.
Do we want to do that?
And more importantly, a body fat percentage. BMI is really what I'm looking at, somewhat more than weight, because with weightlifting, I'm gaining muscle mass.
So it's going to be.
So a lot of times it's not. I want 230 or 235, but I want to be at like a 14 or 15% BMI instead of like a 28 or 30% BMI.
Okay.
And I'm just guessing that's where I'm at. I haven't actually had it measured, but I mean.
Okay.
I know me enough to know how much body fat I'm carrying, and I'm probably carrying about 25 to 30%.
Well, as a year in review, then what we'll do is we will agree now we're going to do this, and when we reconvene for our next episode, everybody have in mind where you want to be, and that's what we will use as the target. You know, if it's I want to be at 225 and I want to lose 10 pounds, that's fine. It can be individualized. I know last year we said how many pounds.
Well,
we
at the
want
same
to lose.
goal,
right? I think this year maybe what will make it work is doing it that way and individualizing it
accordingly
per person.
Yeah.
but still holding each other accountable.
Right.
So you're
For
saying
their
we
goals.
didn't earn the trip to the Bourbon Trail?
We did
No,
not.
we did not even go fucking close.
We were a hair short.
Yeah.
But
Sadly, we didn't even get out of the state, we didn't even get out of the county
Probably not.
that we're in to head towards the Bourbon Trail.
so then taking what we learned this year and what we said at the beginning of last year, or technically at the beginning of this same year, we said people start out with New Year's resolutions and then they drop off. And I think we found that happened to us for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah.
None that were really the same. But is that what is indicative of New Year's resolutions in general? Is that how it works? People just get, life happens,
I think so.
medical stuff happens, you come stateside to see family. I mean, are those the reasons people just say, fuck it?
Well, and by our nature, we don't want to let ourselves off the hook.
We're
You know what
competitive.
I mean? We're honestly critical,
Right.
You know, but sometimes you can take that too far, and we've talked about this, like being happy, you know, and just being good to yourself, kind to yourself, you know, mentally, and not like failed again, damn it, I always do this, you know,
Right.
because simultaneous to not doing great on this particular venture, you know, there's probably plenty of other stuff and be like, hey, crush it at work or whatever.
Right. I mean, I think most of us got promoted in raises this year,
At
right?
some point.
Right. So,
Did something.
I mean, we all killed it in that regard. I mean, we dealt with health issues to stay healthier moving forward.
And
Right.
At the end of the day,
We
we're
all
mid to
stayed
late
married.
40s and we're all still here,
Yeah.
relatively healthy.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and when it comes to health matters, you know, I'm like I said, I always hope going into the doctor's office, I provide the information, you give me the
Plan of
answers,
action.
because that's the role. But I think you are your own best advocate,
Right.
and there's times where you got to be a little more like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I think we need to try because you know yourself better, you know, than anybody else, and you know. Like for me, in my case, you know, with the missus, we just kept waiting for someone to go, like, this blood pressure thing is a problem.
Right.
And it gets brought up, but then it gets, like, brushed aside because there are some other issues that are really more prominent. But it's like one of those, I'm like, oh, I'm done waiting on this. We're going to move forward with some kind of answer.
But suffice to say, for all our listeners at home, I think legal would agree. That does not mean you go into a doctor's office thinking, well, I Googled MD,
Right,
and
right.
suddenly
Yeah.
I'm a doctor and I can upstage the doctor. I think what you're saying is advocate for yourself. If you don't think something's working, say something. But don't try to tell the doctor how to do their job.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean...
Well, also, you know, like you said, you know your body better than
Right.
anybody else.
Well, and the funny thing, too, is, you know, like, you know, I know it sounds like I'm falling apart, like with the ankle thing. Go in, dealt with it for years, get an injection, doesn't help. He's like, well, we're going to do a CAT scan. I go back in, he's like, the CAT scan's negative. And I'm just like, there's no fucking way.
Right. Something's
There's
wrong.
no way. Like, how have I gone this many years with this pain?
Right.
And I told him, I was like, this is like the story of my life.
Psychosomatic.
It's like, shit, I'd rather break the ankle than I'd just be like, fix this, you know?
And then they fix it and it still hurts and you're like, well.
Yeah, because when you deal with soft tissue and all that stuff, it's frustrating if you don't get like a really clear picture of what the problem is.
Right.
And I get it. Like, it's like, let's start with medicine.
Excuse me.
Edit that out.
Well, that's why I wanted a nice gap there for you to be able to stop and clip.
Except now he's got to remember where he was, and
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's
Sorry.
Well, you start medicine to be the least intrusive possible, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then you kind of like escalate force, and then there are times it's like, I want level 3.
All right, so there we go. That's what we're doing. This was not successful by and large. 2022, 2023. We'll see how that goes. And once we reconvene, we will have a clear picture of what everybody wants to do individually, and we will go from there. And we'll see if it works. And we'll do our check-ins regularly, and I'll track the weights or the goals, and we'll see where we're at. So it sucks. I enjoyed it. I did. I love getting on the scale every week.
I enjoyed
another
the
pound,
support
another two.
that we all gave each
Yes.
other. I enjoyed, the fact that it was a safe space. We could joke, we could poke fun at ourselves.
Oh man.
You know,
I honestly, I'll be the first to admit, Grinch, I thought this motherfucker's going to do nothing all year. He's going to wait till like the last
I'll
2-3
be honest,
months.
That was the
and then
plan.
just start.
That was the plan, damn it.
Then why start this on January 1st? Let's just wait till like October 1st, then we'll start. No, I thought that's what you do, and I was like, this son of a bitch is going to hit his target right at the end of the year. And be like, see, I told you. Because you kept saying, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to get that.
I did.
Yeah, cool. All right, so there we go. New Year's challenge.
he was fine. He was fine until Call of Duty rolled out a
New game.
Yeah.
I mean, I love seeing pictures of feet every morning.
much as the
much
next
as the next guy.
I mean, it's a good thing no one here has a foot fetish, right?
No. All right,
Or
so
a glass scale. You get a reflection.
well, now I know why he hasn't lost weight. Look at those balls.
Right?
So,
Dude, if you manscaped, you'd lose like half a pound just doing that,
shave
bro.
my ass. So 2022 year in review. Here we are, Spirited Debate, our sister show, Liquor and Leagues. We put out nearly 60 episodes this year. A shit ton of content, shit ton of hours. We are, 2.5, nearly 3 years into this endeavor. I asked the question, as I always do. Everybody still enjoys doing it.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and
I mean, yeah.
not sure where we thought it was going to go when we started. But the
quite
fact
sure.
that the four of us are sitting in the same room, I'm super excited about.
For me, it's like
that.
my weekly safe harbor. Like I know
it's a
every week.
getaway.
Yeah, every week I know we get to do this for an hour plus, where it's like the rest of the world can go fuck off, and we can get together, laugh, and cut up, and have fun.
And for Grinch, it's the one time a week he actually gets to have a drink, so that's nice.
Made by somebody else.
But yeah, nearly 60 episodes, and like I said, a ton of content. Anybody, and you're probably going to go, if I go, oh, any particular episode anybody liked, or any particular topic, and you'll be like, well, I don't remember what we did this year.
I don't remember the beginning of this episode. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Just about any time we have guests on. I mean,
Always funsies.
yeah, I feel like those are always good. Like I went back and listened to the ones, with Duke and Jason Houck,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that.
Nice.
I as an active participant in this endeavor and a fan of it as a listener when I'm not on it, that's what I enjoy is when there's guests.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Those
I mean,
are always fun.
I don't know if I'd want to do that every week, but I definitely like when we have them on.
I think there's a certain thing about it I enjoy, but not having a guest to me is occasionally more enjoyable because there's no pretense.
Fair.
It's like inviting people
There's
to your
no
house.
pre-work,
You've got
yeah.
a host, and you've got a
Fair play.
And I know most of our guests are incredibly gracious and like, be yourselves. We don't give a fuck. But it's still, you're like, okay, can't act like complete fucking idiots.
Whoa.
Can we though? Except for our 100th episode.
We don't talk about the 100th episode anymore.
That was the only time where like shit really got out of hand. If you listen to it, and it's a long extended episode, we had a number of guests on, you can just tell where the tables just turned, where alcohol just took over, and it's, it may be tough for people to get through.
Just go ahead and call it out.
3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 hours of drinking,
3 hours of drinking.
3 hours of guests.
Well, and that was a bullshit episode because there were a predefined number of guests when I agreed to start taking
Yeah.
shots, and then somebody just started fucking inviting people
Right.
left and right. It's like every 5 seconds a new thing popped into Zoom, and it was like, what the hell?
Right. And that was kind of the purpose of like, if we could find a new guest, we'll just bring him in.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just taking people in off the street, right?
Well, yeah.
How would you like to record?
And unfortunately, I did run out of the Reaper whiskey, so I had to switch to something else. But
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But yeah, I mean, going back to the January 6th
Oh, the Capitol hearings.
Capitol, well, yeah.
Right, well, yeah.
All
The
the-
actual event itself.
Yeah.
Well, obviously our first episode 239, way back in season 2. Boom, shakalaka, motherfucker. The New Year's challenge begins. That's the first episode that we release. Because Liquor and Leagues, obviously, we were at the end of Liquor and Leagues, but those always fall in January because we do the SEC, or we do the semifinal games and then the national championship. But A Spirited Debate, that was our first one. And then A Life of Captivity is Only Captivating to the Viewer. That was our zoo one that we did. That was the follow-up there. And then, of course, they go on Critical Race Theory.
And real quick, we're getting a glimpse into how the donuts are made here, because normally people think that Thor just pulls this stuff out of the back of his mind.
Yeah.
He's sitting here reading it off a website.
I'm reading it off our website. I track.
What's our website? In case anybody hasn't looked
it's
at that yet.
spiritedDebate.com. The vault is there. All of our episodes are there.
Okay.
This episode will be there. All the Liquor and Leagues episodes will be there. And we talk about that Liquor and Leagues. If you haven't listened, that's our sister podcast where we cover SEC football almost exclusively in the South. But yeah, this is the parent one. This is the anchor. This is the one we will never get away from, regardless of whatever else we do.
How did we do metric-wise this year? Are we still...
I haven't put together the metrics, actually. I probably should. But I know it's been, I won't say down, but there have been obviously spikes. I think I mentioned to you guys, we had over 100. End of December, 105 in a single day, and people go, that's not a lot of downloads. It is for us.
Yeah.
To have 105 downloads in a single day, that is a massive spike. We've never, ever done that. And I think we did 2 days back to back.
Now, do we know what episode, or was that just 105 downloads?
That's just the downloads. They can download anything. And there are 161 episodes they can pull from.
Right.
So there's no real way for me to necessarily know that. If you're asking in terms of the overview,
Most downloaded episode.
the most downloaded is, I think, still going to be the same. It's going to be
The Legend
The Legend of the
Hoss
Hoss
Monster.
Fucking lies is what it is. But...
It is The Legend of the Hoss Monster.
All lies, no truth.
It's
I don't know. I think we got an insight into some of the truth last night.
And it is substantially more downloaded than any other episode. Now, I don't know if that's you having your friends listen to the episode repeatedly.
I mean, I got to do something with that extra money. That
Well, I'm pretty sure he's got a VPN. He just keeps rotating the IP and downloading it himself.
That's actually not a bad idea.
But, yeah, I mean, again, our standard is kind of still, we're not dropping off in terms of climbing. And they always say podcasting is a long-term game if you're going to get into it. Don't go a year and think, well, I didn't do anything. It is a long-term game. And we approach this knowing we didn't really care about that. We wanted to get together, have fun.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I hadn't looked at it.
I
in a
haven't
while.
put together all the sites to know.
Yeah.
I know just off our hosting site, it's almost 11,000 downloads. But I'd have to go out to like Google. I'd have to go out to Apple, Spotify, just to check on what all of those are to give you the accurate, what's the total.
Okay, fair play.
160 episodes at about an hour an episode, give or take. Some are longer, some are shorter. Average is about an hour. Actually, the average I think is like 77 minutes if you actually look at it. So that tells you 161 episodes, averaging about 75 minutes an episode. That tells you how many hours of content are sitting out there. It's a lot. It's a lot to edit. It's a lot to post. It's a lot to listen to. And you're right. A lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff is me just looking at our stats and looking at our episode names. And every time we reference one, and that's what I'm doing, I'm going to go back out to episode because I want the listeners to know it's episode 230. It's episode 143, and that way they know. Okay, very quickly I can go and listen.
And it is kind of cool that we've been doing this long enough to where there's actually
Right.
referenced episodes to refer back
And
to.
it happens quite a bit. Everybody on the show has brought up another episode in reference for something we are talking about on a current. And so it's like, oh, go back and listen to, when we talked about. So it has been a lot in terms of the undertaking to get it done, but you guys have been gracious week in and week out. We jump in, we record. Some weeks we take off. Some weeks we put stuff in the bank to be able to post. It is not all, for those at home, it is not all live. Record and post. I mean, we do put stuff in the bank because people are traveling. We can't all be here. And everybody here has a right to have a life. And it's not, hey, you're traveling? Too bad. Be on. Even though I know when you were in Mexico, you jumped on shortly.
Damn it. I tried. The party won out, though. Sorry, guys.
It's been a phenomenal year in terms of the approach to this and what we've done, and we have covered a lot. It's funny because I joke with my wife, like, it has not all been debates. And when we started, it was, that's what we were going to look at. And then we very rapidly found we all agree on a lot of shit. And it's hard to debate when you agree.
Which is what's great. I mean, we're still finding out stuff about each other, too. We're like, really? Interesting.
30,
you don't like
32
seafood?
years and Grinch doesn't
How
like
could you
seafood.
not like seafood?
It's just the insects of the sea.
It is.
You
want to eat this snot?
Yeah. And that is one of the interesting things about it. We find that we actually like each other. And we
Was that a question?
We want. Was it? And that we want to get on week in and week out. And
Do we,
record.
though?
Right. And I think it goes without saying, I don't know if they listen, but to all of the spouses, obviously, that allow us to carve out the time from them, from the kids, to do this week in and week out. It's super
It's a big ask every week to be able to.
Is it though?
I think it is
Some
because
of us
again,
it
you
is,
mentioned we
yeah.
all have lives, right? Those don't
Some more than others.
Those don't stop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, when I brought this to the table, because I didn't start it, we started it, but when I brought this to the table and my wife and I talked about it, it was like, this is what I'm doing. And there was not an argument. It was like, okay.
she's like a guaranteed 2 hours of nap time every
Except
every
I
week.
record in
Nice.
my studio setup is in the bedroom, so there is no
That's a
napping.
problem.
Yeah, but yeah, I do enjoy doing this and hanging out with you guys. The guests are great, but at the end of the day, the four of us being on, that's really what I'm appreciative of. So,
Same. The
Yeah,
fact that it's
definitely.
still going and everyone seems cool with it.
do you game with the guys anymore?
No.
No. So since that separation occurred, you haven't gone back to gaming.
Correct.
Okay. And how many years did you do that?
Oh, I don't even remember.
I'm just keeping the timetable when
Yeah,
you
it was
step away
multiple
from
years.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How much
So,
longer do we have?
4 years.
Is that
So
what
we're on the clock. We got another year.
Uh-huh.
Is it easier as we get older? This would have been harder
well, is what easier? That's the
doing
thing.
this. I'm saying 15 years ago, where our lives were, this probably would have been impossible.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
Younger kids
Kids
and
are
stuff,
grown.
yeah.
We're all pretty static
Yeah.
in our job situations. I think that helps, right?
So we chose the right time. to do it.
I think we're all securely in our marriages to a place where
Well, I
I
tell
don't want
her
to say
what's what.
I don't want to say we're in the maintenance phase, but
Right. I can say whatever I want. My wife doesn't listen to this
mine
show.
doesn't either actually.
So-
But she is in the.
I know who the boss is. It's this
Yes.
guy.
Your
The
wife.
hefe.
Yeah, but I love doing this. I enjoy it. I don't care. Obviously the work, but I should be better about that in terms of getting done and
Fucking slacker.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean, God.
So you're taking over editing?
I am,
Oh, sweet.
and there'll be so much of it too.
This sounds exactly like what we recorded. Because it is.
Except we're all going to sound like chipmunks.
I cut out every 5th minute.
That's right.
See if you can
Every
What the
every,
fuck?
every
Figure
30
out what's
seconds
missing.
doesn't matter. Every 30 seconds,
Carve something out.
I take a second.
Which does remind me of the censorship episode.
Yes.
We did. Was that the chipmunk?
That was a pain in the ass. And
Oh,
but no,
you-
when I beeped
you beeped
out
everything.
every word.
Yeah,
Sounded like a great idea in the moment. And I was like,
that's the beauty of theory versus reality.
yes.
Or dropping the word Chanticleers.
As much as you
Yes.
can.
Look, Liquor and Leagues, that team unfortunately was a disappointment this year.
Yeah, it was not good.
Oh man.
Randy What's His Nuts did not have them dialed
He
in.
did not
Well,
because he
East
was
Carolina
retired.
handed them their ass.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
So when we get to the end of this year, we'll have to come up with another off-league team because it won't be them. We would have been better served with App State probably. But that's another topic for another episode in
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole different podcast in Liquor and Leagues. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I mean, I don't know that I should be shocked or surprised, but I am shocked or surprised that we're still doing this.
really?
I mean, yeah, because I mean, life does. I mean, look at the challenge, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it threw all of us out of the challenge because of life, and yet life, even though it threw its challenges again at us this year, lots of challenges, we still managed to make this continue to roll down the tracks, and I would say even with relative ease,
And I think that's a key indicator of how important it is to each of us, I think.
Right.
And to anybody, right? To have that kind of interaction. Especially, and now we are starting to kind of come out of COVID, but
That's what I was gonna say.
with a lot of that stuff getting locked down,
It was easy.
but
do this
to
because
do
of
this,
that.
but now that that's coming out, still making the time shows the dedication, and at least for me, how committed I am to spending an hour and a half, 2 hours every week at minimum. with
Well,
you
because
guys.
what isn't aired is the text thread that we're in that everyone is
That leads up to the
participating in
weekend.
actively every day.
the library of memes.
Yeah.
That I don't save to my phone because I have no
Storage
capacity.
Well, I think it goes back to the men's mental health episode, right? Where, this is a big factor, a big key as to why I feel much more mentally sound and healthy, because this is we talk on a regular basis, and we have that outlet that a lot of guys unfortunately do not. I
You
feel
think that's it?
that's part
It
of it
helps,
for
without a
sure,
doubt.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's a safe space. We've known each other for
30
yeah. We take shots and pick on each other and whatever. But
It's safe to a point.
Yeah.
It's never safe for a bottom in any situation.
Hey, do we want to discuss fantasy football?
Yes, we can. Because let me tell you who's not a bottom.
That's right.
This guy.
Well, that about wraps it up.
So look at the time. I think we've got some
We
football
gotta go.
games starting that we
Football's
need to go
stupid.
check.
Stupid.
Exactly. We can elaborate on that if you'd like. That we did start a fantasy football this season. Mac did.
Just the four of
Dungeons
us.
and Dragons for
For grown men.
sports.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically grown
It
men
really
pretending
is.
to be coaches, right?
Dungeons and Dragons for jocks.
Yeah, so just to touch on it real quick, right? I had never played fantasy football before. I've heard a myriad of different people talking about playing it. So yeah, we fired up a league the beginning of this season at my request, and most everybody came along willingly. We had to drag a few people, and then those people came out of the gate winning and crushing it.
Yeah, they were.
And some people like myself were like, "Fuck fantasy football."
Struggled.
Yeah, struggled mightily, and now they're in the championship game.
Yeah.
And other people are saying, "Fuck
Wait,
fantasy football."
I'm sorry, Mac. Who's in the championship game?
That would be me and you, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
With losing records.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
So happy for you.
So what you're saying is the worst I can do is second, and the worst
Yes.
you can do is second.
Second,
Okay.
yes. But there's four of us, right? So that means somebody else is finishing third and fourth.
Right, and who would
So
that be?
I think that would be Grinch and Haas,
Okay.
I've abstained.
respectively.
I've taken my things and gone home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Deleted the app.
I do appreciate you guys coming along. It was fun. There was a lot of shit talking,
Yes.
especially early in the season. So I do
Well-
appreciate y'all humoring me with that. just
What
to
was
see.
Max? What was Max?
I must be
something
buttered because I'm on a roll.
What was Max? Something about the mustache, cream-covered mustache. He said something
Something
about
about- yeah.
Haas.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that was the one that
Oh,
got
I
me.
remember that.
He's like, come on his mustache or something. I was like, what the fuck? Mac was all kinds of talking shit.
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
especially considering he had 0 wins at that point.
Right, and it has been.
And wait a minute. Who's in the championship game?
Mac, you're
This guy.
There's a life lesson here.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, don't do anything Mac asks you to do. You
Don't
should have-
let Max set up the
32 years, you should
parameters
know
of a
better.
4-team fantasy football league where anybody can make the championship game.
Although I might add, what we're looking at here is a losing fantasy football for Grinch, a losing liquor and leagues for Grinch,
I felt like you guys were getting demoralized.
and he did not participate in the World Cup tournament, but probably would have lost the tournament.
I probably would have lost that. I didn't,
See,
I
I
don't
didn't
know
even look
shit.
at it.
see, the way I'm looking at it right now, I'm looking into his eyes, deep into his soul.
Which is great. We can do that.
Yeah, it's so fantastic. And I see in his mind, I was getting bored. I was afraid you guys were going to jump ship.
Yep.
I had to let somebody else win it. I tanked on purpose.
Once I get, but twice.
Back to back.
Yeah,
Back to back.
All right.
He's more committed to the friendship than he is his own winning.
that's
ego.
right.
Stop.
That's a
Yeah,
guy.
Selfless.
That's a fellow.
There's a lot of words I used to describe
And
him.
Missouri fucked me. Kentucky fucked me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was a long list of folks that did that.
Your
to a lot of
quarterbacks in
people
fantasy
this year.
football
Yeah.
repeatedly
Yeah.
fucked you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper Cup fucked me.
Look, we all spent the beginning of the season getting fucked by Cooper Cup, so
Yes.
Yeah, it's
That's
only
fair
fair
play.
that you got the turnabout.
Right.
It's fair play.
Yeah, so there we are. 2022 is about in the bag, gents. That's
Ooh, here's
Wow.
to a beautiful 2023, fellas.
it. May it be more of the same in some respects, may it be a lot different in others. Because, I'd like to lose my 50 pounds this year.
What is it? May the best of your past be the worst of your future.
That was deep.
That's what I'm here for.
We've never been this old before and never be this young again.
I gotta think about that.
He's like, does that work?
Confucius say, I'm confused. Any provocative. Gets people moving.
It's the shit you find in a stale cookie.
Any final thoughts before we lock down 2022?
Yeah.
Put it to bed.
Man with hand in pocket jingling change. Not always jingling change.
Does it jingle now? Like if I hear it,
Yeah.
I'm going to be concerned.
If it's jingling, you
Little
should probably see a
piercings
doctor.
with little bells. You know.
Okay. I mean, that's another way to go. All right. No?
No,
We're good.
this was fun. I gotta admit, I enjoyed this.
Can we do this again in person together?
I would love that.
Next week?
would
I
love
think
that.
so. Let's make it happen.
Next week.
Chris is like, I've had enough
He's
of you,
like,
motherfucker.
I like you guys, but only in doses.
Where are you going to be next week?
Look, I've done enough driving. I'll come back.
That's right.
I'll come back.
So you're getting those over the road trucker miles, huh?
Yeah.
What about your brother?
Yeah, apparently.
There should be like Delta Sky miles for driving.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. It was worth it though. The drive was worth it. Both getting to see you at Thanksgiving, both of you, Mac, missed you at Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
but coming back because we are in North Carolina. For all those who don't know, we are from an undisclosed location in the North Carolina state. That is where we were recording from, the Cuatros Jinetes, sitting around the same table, drinking the same drink, staring longingly into each other's eyes as we close out 2022. We are putting the finishing touches on this. This is it. We roll into 2023. Whole new year.
Woot woot.
Bunch of new episodes coming, so
Boom shakalaka motherfuckers!
Waiting for it.
you don't have to worry about your neighbors here.
Yeah.
That's it. So I'm sure you peaked again on that one. That's okay. So thank you so much, gentlemen. I have appreciated it, as I always do, week in and week out. I love hanging out with you guys. Check out our website at dispiriteddebate.com. All of the episodes in our vaults are there. Drinks you'd like us to try. It needs to be updated. I apologize. That is actually on Haas. That's his job to update the website. He's been slacking
Been slacking.
because he's been traveling.
I've been traveling.
Yeah, he does the website. Mac mans all the social media. Grinch does all of our PR. So, it's a busy time here.
It's really just word of mouth.
Which pretty much explains why we only have a
I just
podcast
walk-
posted.
Why we only have 7 minutes
I walk
followers.
up to everyone and go, will you listen to my podcast?
Give me your phone number. This is not creepy. I'll forward
I
you
sent
the
you a
link.
link.
Yeah.
Could you listen to our podcast?
Hey, can I borrow your phone? I'm just going to go to the podcast
For the
app,
record.
and I'm just going to download everything.
That's it. For the record.
Most of my coworkers did not know I had a podcast.
Do they now?
More of them know.
More of them. Okay.
Do they
there are
listen?
those select few you're like, I don't want them to know
Yeah,
how
so.
I actually am, so I'm not telling them.
Like,
Yeah.
you have coworkers that listen.
I do now, yes. I had some folks that were listening before. It's a little weird, but now it's less.
I will admit, none of my coworkers know for that very reason, because I'm like, they don't need to hear all that
Yeah,
shit. They
agreed.
don't need to know.
I'm in the same boat.
Um,
My coworkers don't need to know
Yeah.
my personal life.
No, especially to the degree that it gets discussed here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, that's none of your business.
Well, some of the folks that are listening, I've known for
You've known
years.
personally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
There's-
care.
they know just as much as you
Can't
guys do,
believe you
probably.
think I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Well, you said it on our episode, and I don't have it in front of me, but we talked about that. Was like when people at work, when you knew certain things about people at work, it altered your approach to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we talked. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drag out the end of this.
No,
but,
no.
Yeah, we
you
do.
know,
Okay.
when we talk about social media, you can't separate, knowing certain things about
Right.
a person when they're so vocal about whatever.
But are you that way at work? No.
Well, I'm not, but
Right.
I'm not on social media.
No, I understand, but you aren't.
Right, I have nothing coming my way.
Right.
Right.
And I have never held back on an opinion going the other way because I'm not in the army anymore.
And to reference
Yeah.
another episode, our censorship episode for the second time, because you did it, nobody's asking anyone to listen, right? We don't go out and tell them to listen. You listen or you don't. If you don't like what you hear, turn it off.
Yeah, we're cool
We
with that.
don't care.
We're not here for that.
No, we have never been like, oh, we need 100,000 listeners or followers or whatever it is.
I mean, I wouldn't mind some sponsors.
Right.
That'd be
Yeah.
lovely.
Right.
Hello, Cocktail Flow, app.
Which
Hello.
you have devoted $4.99
Yeah.
to multiple years.
So we blacklisted Triscuits because they didn't do shit.
Yeah,
for us.
Triscus would have been nice.
Exactly.
The Wellatory app would be nice. Apple, because we constantly
all-
plug their
I
products.
use all their equipment.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And who knows? 2023, never know.
That could be a benchmark year.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. SpiritedDebate.com. Check out all of our episodes. Check out all of our drinks. Drop us a line at the Four Horsemen at SpiritedDebate.com. You can, throw out a topic you'd like us to debate. If we like it, we'll get you on the show. If we don't like it, we'll get you on the show. Either way, we don't care.
Hey, did the Mac
MacBottom003
Did that ever get-
gmail.com.
did that ever
I stopped checking because nobody was emailing. Nobody likes
I heard from a little birdie that you've received emails there.
Oh,
MacBottom003
I should probably go remember what the password is then.
at gmail.com.
Bottoms rule.
Yes, I think it was actually that.
As we close the door on 2022, gentlemen, thank you so much. I can't say it enough. Maybe I can. I don't know, but it has been a hell of a
You
journey.
really can't.
I can't. Okay.
He's gonna
it has
try
been a
it.
hell of
The
a journey.
egos need to be fed.
That's right.
The last year, 60 plus or 59 plus episodes. It has been a joy to work with you guys. It has been a joy to do this. Thank you so much for at least carving out a little bit of time each week and doing this. I love you guys.
I love you too,
doing
bud.
this.
I love you
And I
guys.
hope that we continue.
That's
And-
me patting my heart.
Okay, that's Grinch patting his balls.
Also known as his heart.
That's right. He's releasing his blood pressure tension.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
By the way,
Hey, look at the time.
his carpal tunnel syndrome comes from that.
Yeah.
But
You're getting too sincere. You're making it up. We're right here.
But thank you so much for doing this, gentlemen. Love all of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in week and week out. We hope you continue to do it, and maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't, but we're not going to stop doing what we're doing. So thank you so much, and we will do this again next week, next year.
Next year? Yeah.
Next year. And in case you were wondering, because of we're all together, it is actually 4 in the morning, and that is the rooster outside. If you want to play some Sandstorm, there won't be any legal issues.
No,
with
they're
playing
such
it.
jackasses, man. Jesus.
All right, so there it is. ladies and gentlemen.
You like that?
We're never recording in the same room again.
Clearing the room.
I can't smell it.
It's
I don't
here.
know.
Here, have some cupcakes.
The views, information, or opinions expressed during the A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcasts are solely those of the hosts or guests involved and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the hosts or guests may or may not be associated with in a professional or personal capacity, unless explicitly stated. While guests are invited to listen, listeners acknowledge that they are not being provided professional advice from the podcast or its guests. The content within the parameters of A Spirited Debate podcast series or any affiliated podcast are for entertainment and educational purposes only. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual.